So Matsa Resources Limited is operating south of Laverton in the northeastern goldfields of Western Australia. The company is conducting a focused exploration drive at its flagship Lake Carey Project to discover and develop minable ounces which can feed into a company-owned and operated mill with the ability of transforming the company into a significant gold producer. Please welcome Pascal to the mic.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Matsa Resources, I'll just launch straight into it. Our target really at the end of the day is to generate 1 million ounces in resource that will support a new mill at Lake Carey. We're 553,000 ounces at the moment, so we're about halfway there. Just a corporate snapshot, 553,000 ounces as I mentioned, around about 1.9. With 358 million shares on issue. Today, I think we closed at around about 4.3, a little bit lower than that number there. So our market cap is around about the 18 million. So fairly cheap buying at this stage. Our top 20 ownerships around about 60% of the shareholding, and we've got good sticky relations with BNP Paribas and Deutsches Laverton through our German and Singaporean base. So fairly good shareholding there and a good support for us. I was asked this morning what are the key drivers or value drivers in Matsa, or what's the uptick there? And really at the end of the day, I guess there's two really good spokes to our wheel. The first being Lake Carey in the eastern goldfields in Western Australia, 553 ounces that I mentioned just before. You might note that Matsa sold 314,000 ounces to a private company called Linden Gold late last year or early this year. The transaction's still transpiring, I suppose. Our sale hasn't concluded as yet. We sold that for $20 million. That should fund us nicely for the next couple of years. So we have no expectation to go to the market and raise further money at this stage. Red October and Devon are the key sales points there. The transaction basically has an upper case scenario of around about $15.5 million and the rest being in shares upon listing. Lower case scenario is around about $11 million, but what we think is going to happen, and the advice so far is that we're probably going to go to the upper part of the cash transaction, which will be $15.5 million. Now, $5 million of it is deferred through 24 months. There's $2.5 million deferred cash, and then the rest will come out of production from Devon itself. Oh, sorry. So as I mentioned, we'll still hold 553,000 ounces, which is a healthy sort of number. Our second spoke is Thailand. So we've been there for a little while. One of the key features about Thailand is the highly prospective Loy Fold Belt coming down through here. Copper Gold Belt hosts Kingsgate's Chattree mine, and I'll talk a little bit about that a little bit further going forward. So what does that transaction do to Matsa at the moment, or before the sale agreement was signed off? Our EV was around about $27 an ounce. So the ounces that we sold to Linden, we sold them for $64 an ounce, which is a healthy premium to our EV at the time. Now, based on the current share price, it's battered a little bit compared to this slide, but our EV at conclusion of the sale would be about $14 an ounce. So you can see here that the transaction value is actually not translating into an EV value for us. That's certainly part of the value driver for us going forward. The sale, as I mentioned before, no dilution because it's a straight cash and share transaction. We still retain nearly 400 square kilometres of Lake Carey ground, and our aim really at the end with the sale is to stick $6 million in ground exploration, largely centred on Lake Carey. So this is what the pro forma looks like once the transaction's actually concluded. You can see here our tenement package, around about 60 kilometres along strike, 20 kilometres across strike. Our neighbours are, the bigger neighbours are Anglo Gold, Ashanti, and out to the west, Sunrise Dam, and Goldfields International, or Goldfields Australia, Wallaby and Granny Smith. So very good neighbours in that area. So we've got 553,000 ounces, and our exploration target sits at around about 600 to 1.3 million ounces of new gold to be discovered through a concerted exploration effort. And you can see there some of the prospects that we'll be targeting. And I'll talk to a couple of those going forward as well. We've done some studies for a Fortitude Gold mine at around about $2,400. That thing makes around about $100 million cash flow based on a mill of our own. And I'll take you through that detail next. Fortitude Gold Mine, there it is there. We did 3 small trial pits. So that material, about 190,000 tonnes, was processed through Sunrise Dam's processing facility. So we understand the geology there now. We know that it's mineable, and more importantly, we know it's all recoverable as well. It's on a granted mining lease, so there's no issues with regards to recommencing mining. The pit would be around about 1 kilometre long, 190 odd metres deep. And as I mentioned, at $2,400, it makes about $100 million and produces around 132,000 ounces. So 132,000 ounces. So at current gold price above 2,600, it should make a little bit better money than that as well. So we're building towards 1 million ounces of resource at Lake Carey. I guess the important part is we've got multiple corridors of really strong shear zone hosted sort of systems, all up continuous strike, around about 94 kilometres of strike. We've got 26 good quality targets out there on that, and as you can see from that picture on that right-hand side, but I'll talk to a couple of those that we're currently drilling right now. Fortitude North, this is only 6 kilometres north of the Fortitude Gold Mine, sits on exactly the same structure, and a recent work that we did on that, reinterpreting the core log, the core logging that, shows that it's a long-lived system, multi-episodic gold and fluid movement. So we're thinking that we're going to replicate something like what we've got at Fortitude Gold itself. So we don't have enough drilling in there for a JORC compliant resource, but I'm confident from everything I've seen so far that we should be able to define somewhere between 350 and 500,000 ounces in that system. Just a schematic of what a long section along that system would look like. So this is our exploration target there. You can see basically a low-grade halo, dips off to the east, and then we've got some higher grade plunging chutes out to the northeast there. It's a 1.5 kilometre system, still open at either end. Part of it is under a lake, so that we've got some drilling to do there as well. Binder's one of the other key trends. There's been a small mine produced there by WMC back in 1980s. Basically, they mine the shallow oxide stuff down to fresh rock, and the resource remains open at this stage. But along the trend out to the northeast, similar to what the Fortitude Shear Zone looks like, there are a number of targets there as well. And you can see some of the drilling that we recently did back in 2019, 2020. A couple of decent sort of hits there, giving an indication that there's certainly something worth following up. We recently completed some high resolution ground magnetics just north of Fortitude, down there to that to the bottom right-hand corner of the page, all the way up to that top northwest section. And basically, you should be able to see there from the colour scheme, the yellows and the reds, a continuation of the main shear structure. So we're drilling at Fortitude North right now. We've just completed our first diamond hole into the FF1, and at this stage, the signs are encouraging. Multiple intercepts of strong alteration, some shearing, some good fabric for mineralisation, that sort of thing. But we only completed that hole yesterday, so we've still got a little bit of work to do there in regards to do final logging and sending that off for assays. But the signs are encouraging. We have a plan of around about 41,000 metres of drilling. You can see there spread across quite a number of projects, all the way from advanced stuff through to early stage grassroots, which would largely be tested through air core drilling, identifying and finding new anomalies that we'll follow up with RC drilling and diamond drilling as well. As I mentioned, the current drilling activities, you can see here the zones outlined in red. We've got a little bit of new anomalism in saprolite material, which is the sort of weathered material just above bedrock. So we found something at Woolga West, we found something at Phantom Well, so we'll be doing some more drilling there at some stage as well. But again, here you can see in terms of the white, fairly strong continuity of magnetic high structures or features, all the way from that top part of the page all the way down to the bottom, so strong continuity of that systems. The second strong spoke to the value chain that I mentioned was Thailand. And you can see here we've got a number of projects. I mentioned the ones that are along the Loy Fold Belt, but we've also got some exposure to tin and lithium in the Western Granite Belt there. And tin's been a long-standing mining, has a long-standing mining history in Thailand, and we're very excited to get out there and do some exploration there as well. But our key focus in Thailand is probably the copper gold belt that goes through that central section there. And you can see some of the grades that we've had in rock chip sampling, 54.7 grams, 54% copper. So a closer up sort of image of that entire belt. You can see where Kingsgate's Chattree mine exists. They've recently announced that they're back into production and expect to be pouring gold by the end of this year. And you can see there on that image, there's quite a number of copper gold projects along that basic trend of from Laos all the way through to the bottom part of Thailand. And as I mentioned before, with regards to our targeting, the copper stuff is very, very strong, sensational sort of grades at 54.7% copper, and even some of the silver is not something to ignore. Just a simple timeline of our exploration activities, what we expect to be doing when. We've probably had a little bit of a slippage, just general logistics. But I think at the end of the day, we're reasonably on track to achieve what we need or what we want to achieve by the end of this year. And as I mentioned, our key focus is going to be Lake Carey. And I'm pretty confident that with a couple of good rounds of drilling, we should make a significant dent in that million-ounce target, where we're currently at 553,000 ounces. And Thailand, again, that copper stuff with good gold hits in the northern area in Tali is looking very, very prospective. A number of basically drill-ready targets that won't take a lot of work to get in there, arrange some drilling and actually start drill testing those towards probably the earlier half of next year rather than this year, whilst we focus on Lake Carey itself. Thank you very much.